let's stay on the topic. You brought up CM Punk before, and you brought up Dave Meltzer. Something Dave Meltzer recently talked about. A lot of listeners have sent this in. I have a quote here from his Wrestling Observer radio show. They're bad. Talking about, excuse me, I should tell you what this is about.
I know they're bad. They're bad.
This is about Dave's
Dave's
talking about the AEW ticket sales for Collision. They're bad. Punk has been moving tickets in Chicago, but not in other places. Not in Toronto, which is not a good sign because Toronto is one of the greatest markets in North America. They sold out Forbidden Door in a snap of the fingers.
In the snap of the fingers.
In a snap of the fingers, excuse me. And then for the Collision show, they're still under 2,000 tickets at the Scotiabank Arena. I was told ahead of time that Regina and Saskatoon, which is actually a Dynamite, would be very tough because people in Saskatchewan...
They often ride mooses to the events, and the moose trails are closed.
It says they don't get good weather very much. They head out of town and they go to the lake and stuff.
They head out of town. If you live in Saskatoon and you leave town, where do you end up? It goes pretty much from something to nothing pretty quick, doesn't it?
They say that's the height of criminal season in Saskatchewan. As soon as the weather gets nice and everyone leaves, they flee town to go to the lake. But
okay, but
700 tickets. Wait, 700 tickets for Hamilton, Ontario for Collision right now.
Yeah, so I guess hold on here. I'm about to take into account something that nobody's been taking into account, whether it's positive or negative for Punk or for AEW or what, I don't know. But what's the date of Hamilton, Ontario, Canada?
I would have to look that up. I don't know.
Well, why don't you get this schedule out? Because here's what's happening. The Forbidden Door pay-per-view is in Toronto. And that's what they sold 12,000 tickets to, right?
Correct.
Then they've announced, after that fact, a fucking TV taping the night before it in Toronto. That's the one where they're saying the ticket sales are so bad. In a different building.
That's Saturday, June 24th, for the record.
Okay, in a different building in the same town the night before, they've just sold 12,000 tickets to a show already. That's what, and then Hamilton, Ontario is 50 fucking miles from Toronto. So the point is, within a couple of week period.
No, within a week.
Okay, within a week. They're running the same town twice, and they're running a town 50 miles away. And how much money do they think these fucking people have? How much time do they think they have in their life? What is this, the Grateful Dead? Where people are just throwing sleeping bags on their back and going to follow these assholes to whatever building they run whenever, no matter how many times? That's what I haven't seen anybody say, what the fuck was this strategy about? And maybe they're saving money on production. Having everybody in town. They're not even saving money on production. Now, I think about it, besides travel, because if you got to tear down one building and set up another one, you've defeated that purpose. So why are they've got the United States and Canada with a combined population of 350 million fucking people, or 400 million, or whatever it is, and they're in the same metropolitan area 3 times in a week, and they've already sold, I guess, probably about 15,000 tickets to all 3 of those shows, and 2 of them are dying because they're the 2 that were announced after they announced a show they sold 12,000 tickets to.
And the one that sold the tickets is the one that's a joint venture with New Japan.
Well, but it was also the one that was announced first, and everybody knows what the fuck it was, and they see they thought at the time, well, we'll see all the stars. It's a pay-per-view. So then they come in with, and now we're going to do a TV taping with Thunder Rosa and Samoa Joe and others, maybe CM Punk, but it sounds like not for the first week or 2. But then, he's going to be there after all. But and we just did a segment on the prices of AEW events. So
these events, Toronto and Hamilton, were the ones we talked about.
What the fuck do they think these people do for a living? Split the atom and cure cancer, that they're fucking millionaires?
The other question, and again, you bring up great points. I mean, if we look at the Collision schedule, Premiere in Chicago, June 17th. A week later, Toronto.
And hold on a second. June 17th, where they're going to the United Center, that same week, they're in Chicago at the other building on a show they'd previously announced, right? The tickets are already out for. So they're talking, oh shit, Punk didn't sell out the United Center automatically. There's a goddamn show 3 days later across town that you've sold 6,000 tickets to, or what? What the fuck?
Well, again, 17th is the premiere. A week later, Toronto, right around the time of that pay-per-view. The next Thursday, they're in Hamilton, Ontario, so that's why it's within the same week. The next Saturday, July 8th, Regina, Saskatchewan. A week later, Calgary. A week later, Newark. So they're in Canada for a month.
But they're going back and forth because they ain't living there for a month.
Apparently they're in Canada during the season where Dave's telling us people aren't around, they go out. You know, I will say this,
and they don't come back in.
I have heard this from talent in that company. I've heard it after I've made comments on the show about why are they running the Northeast so much all at once? Why are they running Texas seemingly endlessly, or California? I know they got the guy who used to book stuff for WWE. At some point, he needs a job evaluation. Because this is getting to be stupid, the way they book these shows over and over again. They killed the Northeast by being nonstop in the Northeast for a little while. And now they're doing it everywhere again. Canada's a big country, but Toronto, Hamilton, and then the other show, you say they have 2 shows in Chicago in a week.
In Chicago, is it the Dynamite the week before or the week after the United Center show that is at a different building in Chicago and has already been on sale for some time?
I don't know.
I didn't know what your Google machine had that, but the point is that's with all these things, they're working against themselves.
The other question is, we all figure CM Punk being added back into the mix is nothing, well, not nothing, but it's a net positive, especially for, you would think, ticket sales. How much damage has been done to CM Punk for the last year while he's been relatively silent? And all that has been done is AEW, whether it was, remember we got an email from some guy who went to a house show or went to some taping and the security guard was ripping on CM Punk.
Yeah, and the merchandise people were like, well, we hope he doesn't come back.
If he comes back, this company will die, I think was the exact term. You had Chris Jericho calling him a cancer, which somehow got out. You had all these various things. If a good portion of the AEW fan that actually goes to these shows, and again, you want to build past this, if they're a knowledgeable wrestling fan, if they're on Twitter, if they're on Facebook, if they're in a group, any of these things, they have seen CM Punk's name dragged through the mud for a year. At some point, that's got to have a negative effect on things too.
Off the top of my head, yes, they've muddied the water terribly on all their top talent, as we've mentioned in a discussion here recently, where if you were predominantly a Punk fan but weren't offended by the Buckaroos, you know, that was fine. Or if you were predominantly a Buckaroo fan, you weren't particularly offended by Punk. But now they've basically forced their fans to take sides. And, you know, only a few are going to like both because it's been so cut and dried that the sides are so far apart that you got to pick one or the other. But then also, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'll come back to this.
Well, but also, besides that, I don't think the people trust anymore. They make a big announcement of the show, but they can't even tell us where the first location is. The smart fans know that that's because something blew up with Punk over Ace Steel at the last minute when Tony couldn't stand by his deal. But the average fan just goes, what is it? You know, they don't even know. Or when they announce Punk will be there, well, we haven't heard CM Punk's name on television in 9 months. For the people who don't live their life on the internet, the exact promotion for Punk at the United Center has been, yeah, he'll be there. Not even a fucking piece, not even a still frame photo shot. Do the people believe it? Or do they want to see, do the fans who do live their life on the internet, Do they believe he's coming back at this point, or will something between now and then go wrong? And they've bought their tickets to see a fiasco. It's hurt the promotion's credibility that a lot of people, besides the internet fans, don't know why any of those people were suspended, where Punk's been gone, or why Punk's been gone, where he's been. The smart fans now can't really believe any of the advertising, pro or con, because there may be something going on. Some people may be fed up with the whole goddamn thing because now they're like, wait a minute. Just because these highly paid, pissy-ass little fucking cretins, regardless of whose side you're on, can't get their shit together, if I'm going to pay $200 and something for a bleacher seat at one of these tapings, I'm only getting half the roster. They get me thinking, what the fuck? I'll just stay home watching on TV for free.
And I guess the question in the future maybe, should they bundle tickets? Real quick, Jim, because you maybe...
But I'm just saying all of those things are playing a part because it's a fucking fiasco. Go ahead.
You wanted me to look this up. Some interesting things here. June 17th is Collision in Chicago. June 21st, later that week, Dynamite and Rampage in Chicago. Then, June 24th, Toronto for Collision. The next night, June 25th, Toronto for Forbidden Door. Then that Wednesday, June 28th, Dynamite and Rampage in Hamilton. The next night is Collision in Hamilton.
Jesus Christ.
I didn't know they were running Dynamite the night before there.
What the fuck? So that's Toronto twice in one weekend, where one of the shows has been on sale as a pay-per-view and has sold 12,000 tickets, and two more the following week on weeknights, or at least by the following weekend, in a city 50 miles down the road. Oh, Jesus.
Again, I don't know why they...
So there's four. If they've sold 12,000 tickets to one, so if they sold another fucking 3,000 tickets to each of those other three shows, they've still sold 24,000 tickets in a metropolitan area in a week, and it still is going to look like shit because it's spread over four shows.
I'm telling you, I know a studio is in the option, it has to be something a little bigger, but do something like that and make people want to see this stuff before you... New show! Punk's not even on the poster. It's everyone but Punk that we heard about, including Orange Cassidy and MJF. And Orange Cassidy's not in the Dynamite poster, which would lead you to think that maybe he will not be on Dynamite.
That would be a plus, but then he's going to go kill the new show that we had hopes for.
Tony's sticking him on this new show with everyone else.
Tony inserting him into everyone else's cavity.